Okay. If you don't smoke weed, then there won't be any vehicle in the vehicle, right?
Well, there shouldn't be.
Yeah, I know there shouldn't be, but go ahead and step out.
Great. Great.
You come on back here with me, ma'am.
But I don't give you permission to search.
I don't need your permission, ma'am.
Mr. Cooper, could you please state and spell your name for the court?
Yes, ma'am. It's Barry Cooper. Barrycooper.
All right, that's Barry Cooper, a one-time Texas drug agent described by his former boss as one of the best narcotics officers in the country.
What is an interdiction officer?
Yeah, so interdiction officer is a term for a police officer whose sole purpose is to stop automobiles, usually on pipeline looking for highways, drugs and drug cash. So they're trying to interdict contraband on the highways in the United States.
Have you worked drug interdiction?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I worked 7 years of intensive drug interdiction.
Welcome back, folks. I recently received an email from someone that immediately caught my attention. I've recently been doing things like going on an iHeartRadio show, doing a podcast with Cannabis Talk 101, and I did a skit with the Pop Brothers at Law, and I've just been talking to people with amazing stories. Barry Cooper has an amazing story himself. When I first read his email, I didn't recognize his name. Although it sounded familiar, like everyone seems to say, his videos and work is what I remember him from. He created a show called Cop Busters where he set up stings to bust cops like taking money and not putting it in the evidence room. He also set up a fake grow house where he duped the cops into such an embarrassment that they felt they had to retaliate and trump some bogus charges to satisfy their desire for revenge, only to have those charges dismissed later. Barry Cooper is now an expert witness for the people against illegal searches and seizures. This video shows exactly what is happening in his world at the moment. He is helping a woman get her case hopefully dismissed or ruled in favor of because the officer illegally searched her car and violated her Fourth Amendment right. We have the exclusive traffic stop video for you guys. This video hasn't been made public yet. I've also included some clips that come from a recent video on his channel. And here's what's going to convince you guys to go subscribe to Barry Cooper's channel. He absolutely convinced me that the cop that lies on this report is full of shit. I have to admit, I told myself, if Barry doesn't convince me, he's not getting a reply from me. I did reply to his email, folks. Here's your video. Make sure you guys pay attention. It begins with the traffic stop.
Good evening. My name is Deputy Craig at the Boone County Sheriff's Office. The reason I stopped you is you have no operational license plate lights, and you also have a driver's side brake light out.
No shit.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Do you have your license, registration, proof of insurance with you?
Well, yeah, I should. Yeah. I really. Okay, which brake light is it? Or
Driver's side brake light, and then your registration plate lights aren't working.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me find it. I had it here somewhere. I just came back from the hospital, so everything's.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. Hold on. Okay, here's this. And insurance, I do not have the card.
Okay.
Because the car is registered in my boyfriend's name.
Okay.
So, yeah, Jaden, it's registered in Jaden's name.
Okay. Do you have the registration paperwork?
Yeah, I got the registration. Between all my masks. It's in here. This thing.
11 from 13. What's your 20?
Okay. Yeah, let me see. Is this the right one? Or is this my bomb? That's the Bonneville.
Temple.
Yeah, this is it.
All right. If you want to hang on for a second, I'll be right back with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
The amazing Barry Cooper. Woohoo!
I have over 800 narcotics arrests, ran over 100 search warrants. I was an instructor at the police academy.
If you're not 10-6 and want to float my way, I'll be detaining one for a PC search.
I was an instructor at the police academy. I worked harder than any of the other agents, where they would stop 10 to 15 cars and search per day. I would stop 30. It was obvious to me, now this is looking through the eyes of a police officer like I used to be. Upon approaching her car, I would have noticed that she had signs of being an addict. She had some jaw movements, and specifically, it looked like methamphetamine. Her eyes were wide open and in disarray. And again, I'm not judging her. I'm just giving my honest testimony. And I think it was particularly interesting because the officer had decided pretty quick that he had already smelled marijuana, and I knew that is about in the 1:30 mark or 2-minute mark, because he radios and tells another officer, if you're not 10-6, which is busy, can you come to my location for a PC search. So that tells me he is already claiming to have smelled the marijuana. Unfortunately, because drug laws and such are such a taboo subject for everybody, officers start thinking that, what's the harm in saying I smell marijuana, whether I smell it or not? I get to search their car, and if they don't have anything, they get to go home. At least this is how I used to justify it. And if they do have drugs, I made a drug bust. And I made a lot of drug busts based on lying, saying that I smelled the odor of marijuana.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and just step out for me and walk back here to the back of the vehicle for me?
Yeah, sure. What's wrong? Is there something wrong?
Yeah, there's an odor of marijuana emanating from the vehicle. So what I'm going to ask
I
you.
don't even smoke pot.
Okay. I'm telling you, all I'm doing is asking you to step out. If you don't smoke pot, then there won't be any in the vehicle. Has someone smoked in here recently or something?
I don't know. I just got back from Boone out of my car.
You can just step out. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it kind of is, though.
Step out of the
I
car.
got a fucking record.
Okay. If you don't smoke weed, then there won't be any vehicle in the vehicle, right?
Well, there shouldn't be.
I know there shouldn't be, but go ahead and step out.
Uh-huh. Great.
You come on back here with me, ma'am.
But I don't give you permission to search.
I
the
don't
vehicle.
need your permission, ma'am.
Need your permission.
So,
Great.
Are you on probation parole?
Yeah.
Isn't there a search clause in your probation parole?
Well, probably, yeah.
When I didn't. I know now that I've matured and I've got a better grasp of how the American courts work, I realized that, protecting the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution is much more important than catching somebody with a little baggie of meth. So it also looked to me like maybe he didn't have a canine available. And when you don't have a canine available, say your dog's in heat or something, then it's time to pull out the I smelled marijuana trick. Would you like me to continue about the marijuana flakes and testify to that?
Sure, Mr. Cooper. Whatever you recall about your observations of this stop and what the significance.
Right. So point is, as politely as I can say it, police do lie about smelling marijuana, and they lie to get the probable cause to search. And that's, in my opinion, that's what happened, because it's really important to note this officer said that he smelled the odor of raw marijuana instead of burning marijuana. If he would have said burning marijuana, I wouldn't be here today testifying, because there's no way that you can prove he didn't smell burning marijuana. Somebody could have smoked a joint the day before in her car, even without her knowledge, and burned marijuana sticks to the car. And I believe Miss Leanna when he said, I smell marijuana, and she goes, I don't even smoke pot. I believe her. And when I learned that the officer in this deposition when I learned he said he could smell 2 flakes of marijuana that were too small to even test, and then those 2 flakes being inside of a metal can inside a passenger door. There's no way for that odor to permeate out and there be enough particles that far from the source, which would be outside the driver's door. There's no way for any particles to have been gotten that far. A dog couldn't have even smelled it from there. And then when the officer located the marijuana and he removed it from the car, he said then he could no longer smell it. He's saying that he smelled those 2 flakes of marijuana. And something else too. If you smell raw marijuana, you know you've got a big load. A big load. Because it takes a lot of raw marijuana to permeate enough odor out for those just noticeable differences to be detected. It takes a lot of raw marijuana. Now, I've approached cars before and smelled raw marijuana, and when I smell raw marijuana, I get excited because I knew it would be a big drug bust. And, I would search the car and not find the marijuana. So instead of letting the car go, I would get a dog and have my dog find the source of the marijuana. It's usually a hidden compartment of some type. So if this officer smelled if he smelled raw marijuana, he should have gotten a dog. He should have checked for compartments and such. That's why I'm not saying he's a bad person. I think he's a good cop, but I think he did what I did and what so many other officers did, and he did not smell that raw marijuana. Impossible. On a scale of 1 to 10, impossible.
The thing that has weed in it? The thing that has weed residue in it?
Weed residue?
Yeah, there's weed right here in the corners of it, the whole thing.
It's gotta be old. Oh, that's an old case, isn't it? It's an old cigarette case.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how many drug searches you've done during your career?
It would definitely be in the thousands, but I would have no way of knowing the exact amount.
Were you good at drug searches?
My bosses claim I was. My commander, Tom Finley, made a statement to the Associated Press during a media interview. He said that in his opinion I was one of the best officers, best drug cops in the state and probably the United States. And he ended the quote with saying, I made more cases than all of his agents put together. So in his opinion, I was.
All right. Are you familiar with the odor of marijuana?
Yes, ma'am, I'm very familiar with the odor of marijuana.
Do you have training and experience relevant to understanding the diffusion of marijuana odor through various types of materials?
I do. In fact, I teach this principle. I just gave an accredited class to the Seattle Criminal Defense Lawyers Association on odor permeation, where I taught that simply the concentration of odor particles are going to be stronger at the source, and as you move away from the source, those particles get less and less and less, which explains why we can't smell. If you're in Idaho and there's a dead dog in Texas, you can't smell that dead dog, because by the time those odor, they call it a just noticeable difference, JND. Well, there's a just notable difference when moving toward the contraband. That's how a dog, okay, let me stop. So a canine works by tracking odors, and he is able to locate the source because he finds the areas that have the most particles that have permeated through something. The permeation of odors is important to understand because, they say, how is it a dog can smell through a PVC pipe that's floating around in the gas tank and smell through the gas and the metal? How can a dog smell through that? Well, the truth is the dog doesn't smell through anything. Police officers don't smell through anything. Odors permeate. And I would demonstrate this in class, in the canine classes that I taught. I would get a can of sardines and put it in a Ziploc baggie and then pass it around to the class, and you could not smell the sardines. But by the time the class was done at the end of the day, you could hold that bag up and you could smell the sardines, because even plastic has little microscopic pores. So it takes time for those odors to permeate out. Just like a contraband hidden in PVC pipe floating around in a gas tank, like I talked about a while ago. So the odors permeate out of the PVC pipe, actually permeate through the gasoline, and then permeate outside the metal container and leaves a scent cone, or those just noticeable difference, or the particles on the outside of the gas tank. And that's what the canine is smelling.
I truly respect Barry Cooper's work. He's going out of his way to help other people, which in my opinion is how this world should operate. We should be looking out for each other, not trying to step on each other every chance we get. I believe that's what the police do. They put on that uniform, they clock in, and they go out and look for criminals. If they can't find any criminals, well, they gotta invent one somewhere. The clip you were just watching comes from a full video from this channel here, Never Get Busted, by Barry Cooper. You definitely want to go watch the full video. There's a tremendous amount of information in there that you guys will learn. I've talked to Barry Cooper on the phone. I do plan on collaborating with him more in the future. Maybe we could do some podcast episodes. Maybe we could just talk and let you guys pick our brains, ask questions or whatnot. Everyone go subscribe to Never Get Busted. Let Barry Cooper know that San Joaquin sent you. Let him know how much you appreciate him going out of his way to help the woman in this video. Like I said, I was convinced. He convinced me. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel as well and hit the bell, because we bring you educational videos regarding police accountability that we can all learn from. I learn from you guys as well. There's a wealth of information in the comment sections, folks, so make sure you go through that as well. All right, guys, you guys all have a blessed day. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.